6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Oh, I don't think there's anybody here yet. It would be my guess. I started early. And you know what I just realized? I started without my water. Therefore, I'm going to be thirsty. That is not good. Tell you what, y'all sit here and stare at this for a minute and pretend like he's doing a show and it's really good and it's better than I could possibly do a show. He's gonna fall. Fuck it. I gotta go get water. Got to. Sorry. It's gotta happen. Okay. There we go. Now I have water. There it is. Sorry. See, this is what happens when I start a show early. I'm not ready. That's what happens. Anyway. You know why I started the show early? Because I'm just sitting here bored doing stuff, doing nerd shit anyway. So I thought, why not just go ahead and start the chat? And we'll wait for everybody else to get here. They'll probably be late anyway, because fuck them. That's why. What's up, Scary and Led on Steel? Oh, let me pull the comments up. There we go. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I've just been sitting here doing some nerd shit and thought, why the fuck not? We'll go ahead and start the chat and see how that goes. Because I have not been working on this custom I've been working on. One of my little Geek customs. I've been put it aside. I started to make it and I was like, you know what? I should sit down before the show and actually see if I can finish up some of the pieces I need to do to it. And if I'm going to do that anyway, I might as well turn a fucking camera on. I need to build up some armor for this fucker right here. He needs, look at that. Got giant holes in his chest. He needs armor there, man. You got to have some plate armor. You know what I'm saying? You got to plate armor your shit. Like any good libertarian bulldozer builder. You got to armor that shit up before you go take on the law. You know what I'm saying? Some people got that. So I am going to try to take this thin sheet of plastic and cut out some armor pieces for his chest. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Cut out a couple chunky armor pieces, build his ass up. But because he looks a little thin. I mean, he's supposed to. He's supposed to look like a fucking robot, but he's supposed to look like a robot with huge ass fucking arms. But he still needs more. He needs more chesticle pieces. So I'm gonna cut those out and glue those on. But what's up, fuckers? How's everybody doing today? Everybody ready for the weekend geek now that I'm 20 minutes early? Was everyone properly prepared? I hope so. What's up, firefighter? So, yeah. What is going on in the world of geek this week? Actually, I do want to talk about a couple things, but I'm going to wait till everybody who is supposed to come on the show actually gets here so we can converse together, because that's always more fun. So this part of the chat, just the beginning part, is just a waste of fucking time. That's what it is. It's a fucking waste of time. Oh, Mr. Scary says, can I get Quinn's address? I still have to send 7 to him. Yeah, let me look it up real quick. Okay. I'll send it to you on Facebook. Hold on a second. Where is it? There it is. There you go. I sent it to you on Facebook. Make sure you got it. Dark Passenger says, I know that Fallout has always been tongue-in-cheek, but this series, albeit good, is making a mockery of Fallout Brotherhood. Paladins playing hot potato with plasma and a grenade while in formation. Okay. See, I don't play Fallout, so I don't know. That's a good question. See, we'll wait till some of the other people get on the chat tonight, because some of them actually have played Fallout, and I'm wondering what they think of that, because I didn't. I started to play Fallout, is it 3 or 4? The one, whichever, I don't know which one it is, to be honest. It's the one right before Vegas, right before New Vegas. Whichever one that is. Is that 3 or 4? You would know better than I was. I bought the game. I started playing. It was awesome. And then I realized I couldn't, as I've told this story before, I couldn't give my life over to another video game at that time, because I had come off of, not too long before that, like spending an entire year of my life playing Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Same company, very similar gameplay, just different setting, all that kind of stuff. And it was a game that I became like just completely engulfed in. And I was like, dude, I can't fucking do that again. I can't do that again. So I stopped playing. So, yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. I mean, that's the truth. I was just like, yeah, no, I can't do this. Would love to. It would be awesome. It's a great game, but I can't just become fucking super involved in another fucking game. So I stopped playing. So I know fucking nothing about like the Fallout lore and all that shit. So it's yeah, it's kind of lost on me, for better or worse. You know what I mean? So Dark Panther said I would recommend all of them, but Fallout 3 and New Vegas would be kind of painful now. What? Just because they're old and like they don't hold up well, or what? They are older games. I mean, Fallout 3 is. I mean, this must have been when I got it. Must have been around 2010 ish, maybe a little before, maybe a little after. I don't remember exactly, but certainly was a while back. I mean, it was around 15 years ago. So it was something. I'll tell you that right now. So for those wondering what I'm doing, I'm sitting here cutting test pieces out of this, see if I can make a pattern that will fit here and work for chesticle armor. Chesticles. Because even a robot needs chesticles. I'm wondering if I should. I don't know. Let's see. C says, used to show as Paul Senior. Good evening. Good evening, Paul Senior. Paul Senior. Ah, Paul. I knew you well, Mr. Senior. Trying to come up with these little patterns here. Dark Rancher said, I tried to go back and play Metal Gear Solid. It was so bad. I made it 20 minutes. I have done that many times. Gone back and played a game that I loved, that, you know, you remember having great memories of a specific game, and then you play it and you're like, oh, that is just not, that's not what I remember. You know? I've been there. We've all been there. You know? I mean, if you were of the right age to, you know, grow up with Nintendo or Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis or whatever, right? Like, yeah, you've had those rough times where you're like, oh, this was awesome. I loved this game. And then you're like, oh, God, that's awful and doesn't hold up at all. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but we've all been there. Chunk says, Discord? Is that a question? What? You put a question mark on there. What about Discord? What about the Discord? Yeah? Yeah, what are we saying about the Discord? What about Discord? Wah, wah, wah. I have a Discord, yes. Why is there a second chat in the background? A second chat? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. There shouldn't be a second chat. I have one. Now it's broadcasting to two different channels. I'm broadcasting to both my channels right now. If that's what you mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's what you mean or not. Yeah, I think that'll work. I need 2 pieces like this for plate armor on his chest, and I think that will work. And then I will heat them and shape them and glue them down. And I will have the chest armor for this piece, yeah. Jawohl. And we will like it a lot, yeah. You will like the piece a lot. Yeah. I haven't done German strudel gameplay in a while. You know that? Should do that again sometime. I hear something. Why do I hear something? Is that my kids making noise in the background? I don't know. I wonder if that's what you're talking about. Oh my God! Thanks, Matt. That must be it. Is that what you were talking about? Yeah, it is streaming to both my channels right now. All right. So we have one piece cut out and a second piece marked off. So I can cut that piece out as well. I will have 2 pieces, and that should give me the 2 pieces I need. See, isn't this exciting? You just get to sit here and watch me cut plastic. But technically, the chat doesn't start for another couple minutes, so it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I love this background music. Thank you, Leo, if you're out there, for making this music. All right. So now I should have basically 2 pretty identical pieces, or at least fairly close. Let's see. I might need to trim a little off of that one. They're pretty damn close. We're almost there. All right. I think I've got 2 identical pieces for chest armor for a robot that I'm fucking working on. Oh. What's up, Johnny Johnson? What am I putting together? Building armor for a robot. It's a Geek Chat. By the way, I do have something I'm going to be working on, more tactically minded for the next chat. So if you want to see that, feel free to stick around for that. Oh, it's a firefighter and a Jerry.
No, correction. I'm an Enclave fighter.
Nice. Well, I apologize, guys. I started the chat like 20 minutes early because I was sitting here bored. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to sit here and...
Yeah, I saw that, and I've been literally sitting in the background while you've been monologuing.
Motherfucker. See, I didn't hear that. Which that doesn't make any sense because I heard Jared just now pop in. Why didn't it make you? Because it makes a noise when somebody pops in.
I notice it doesn't do that all the time too. It might have been.
It made the noise when you popped in, Jared, but it didn't when Firefighter did.
Well, I was going to get you to say like maybe it's where I'm co-host right now. I guess
Maybe that's what.
I've noticed it don't always ding too.
It's supposed to.
All right, somebody cracked a beer.
We can.
I cracked a cherry RC cola.
We can talk about real shit now. We can actually start the actual chat now, not the me fucking around with a couple of pieces of plastic trying to make fucking armor. Although I'm still kind of sitting here fucking with it. Did I do this right? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I don't know why you hate yourself so much, Matt.
Well, because I heard that fucking it was going to be an episode about Cisco. That's what. And I was curious, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check it out because it's fucking talking. It's going to talk about Cisco, and that obviously is one of the biggest questions of Star Trek fandom for the last 30 fucking years is what happened to Cisco. And I heard they were at least going to delve into that somewhat. And here's the shittiest part about it. It wasn't just a straight fucking horrendous rape of an episode. It legitimately had some good stuff in it. Like they brought Jake Sisko back.
Which was great.
There was an actual voiceover by Avery Brooks. There was some legitimately good stuff in there about Cisco and who he was and why he did what he did and all this stuff that would have been right at home in an episode of Deep Space Nine. But it was ruined by the fact that it was in an episode of fucking Star Trek Academy, which they can't help in that show, but fucking throw in bullshit, stupid, retarded, woke crap every fucking 5 minutes or so. So it was extra. If it had just been a completely dumb, stupid, crappy, nothing episode, it would not be as offensive as the fact that they actually spend a decent amount of time, especially in the parts where Jake is there, fucking talking about his dad and who his dad was and what happened and all this shit. Like I'm sitting there watching this going, this shit's actually good. Why did you fucking put it in this piece of trash? Like, that's what made it way more infuriating, was because there was some genuinely good stuff in there. And yeah, it was.
Did you like the new design for the Trills?
Well,
I think she's a Trill hybrid.
No, she wasn't a Trill. I mean, she was a Trill. She had a symbiote, but she was not. She's a part Cardassian. That's why she looked like that. She's a Cardassian host for a Trill.
But that's not how the symbiotes work.
Actually, you do find out in Deep Space Nine, the symbiotes have a larger host compatibility than what the Trill government stated.
Well,
there have been Trills that
have larger compatibility with other Trill, not with other species. Trills actually have a pouch inside their bodies genetically developed for holding symbiotes.
Trills have gone into other species before. That's not unheard of.
The only human Trill hybrids that they showed in that alternate timeline where the Defiant crashed on that planet and went back in time. Again,
I'm not getting bogged down on the wrong shit.
Okay,
you can Star Trek anything. You can say that
they don't.
900 years
they
in the
don't.
future. You can sit there and say that, like, yeah, in 900 years, other Trills have learned how to fucking host in other species, and you don't even have to explain it, and it's fine in the Star Trek universe. I don't even give a shit about that. That doesn't bother me.
Then they redesigned the Cardassians because where's their spoonhead?
The what?
The spoon's shape on her forehead.
No, she was part Cardassian, part Trill.
Well, even the part Cardassians have those too.
Yeah, she was part Cardassian, part Trill.
Well, like the Dol Ducat's daughter, that was half Bajoran. She still had it.
I don't know. Well, I have no idea, because I just looked at her and said she looks kind of Cardassian. I don't know if she was actually supposed to be a Cardassian or just some other alien, but she was half some other alien and half Trill. That's what she was. Because she had the Trill markings and shit. She was half Trill and half some other species. So, whatever she was, I don't know. I thought Cardassian because fucking her shit looked a lot like a Cardassian. Maybe she wasn't supposed to be a Cardassian. Maybe she was supposed to be a fucking.
It could be.
I don't fucking know. That is not shit like that in Star Trek doesn't fucking bother me, because Star Trek has fucking revamped shit so many fucking times and fucking done shit without explaining it so many times, and just introduced aliens that can do things that nobody's ever been able to do so many fucking times that shit doesn't bother me in a Star Trek show. Like in 900 years, they figured out how to fucking interbreed with other species, and fucking other species can carry symbiotes. Okay, cool. I don't care, and I don't need you to explain it to me. It's fine. It's Star Trek. Like, that doesn't fucking bother me at all. What bothers me is everything else about this fucking show and the regular characters on the show. Not that they made Dax in 900 years. Dax is in a half Trill, half something else host. Like, that's the least offensive fucking thing about this show. That fucking doesn't bother me at all. Like, it's Star Trek. I don't care.
Just like how everybody's saying about the half Klingon cadet master.
Yeah, half Klingon, half Dominion. Or not Dominion, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Jem'Hadar.
I'm like,
the Jem'Hadar
800 years.
Is a bred race that cannot reproduce on their own.
Yeah.
I'm like
in 900 years,
they would have been dead within a generation.
Like, in 900 years, yeah, I don't even need you to explain it to me. Like, in 900 years, the Federation felt bad for the fucking Jem'Hadar after the Dominion War, and some Federation scientists figured out how to fucking make it to where they lived longer and could breed so that their species wouldn't die out. Again, it's Star Trek. I don't need you to explain that to me. That doesn't bother me that there's a fucking Jem'Hadar Klingon hybrid in 900 years in the future. I don't care. It's fucking Star Trek. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many more offensive things about modern Trek than that. Just the fact that, like we were talking about last week,
if this is true, this is hilariously stupid.
Did they do that? I don't know. I watched a decent chunk of Star Trek Discovery, but I don't remember. I mean, they could have done that. That might have been a thing. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it was like season 4.
Dax is now just a Goa'uld. Dax is just now a Goa'uld now. That makes sense.
Well,
in modern Star Trek.
But yeah, no, there's so many more offensive things than what they do with fucking that type of shit. Like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I remember when people threw a bitch fit about the Klingons. They look different. Shut the fuck up. I don't care.
No, they got so much flack with Klingons, they changed them back without even explaining why.
No, I'm talking about originally. I remember in the 80s when fandom got pissed that they changed what the Klingons looked like in the movies. I remember that shit as a kid. People were upset that the Klingons...
Discovery made them blue with no hair.
Like, that stuff doesn't bother me.
It bothers the shit out of me and other Star Trek fans.
I know, but like it's nitpicky shit. Like it's
that's
not.
It's established to lore.
What? What is?
Oh, the one with the trills, plus with the everything they've done to build up the Klingons and afterwards. TOS
like,
didn't have ridges, but
it so doesn't matter because when Trills were originally introduced, they were not even fucking Trills. They were introduced in Next Generation, and they were completely fucking different. And the only thing that was the same was when they reintroduced them on DS9. They were still symbiotes. Like that was the only. Like they introduced Trills and called them fucking Trills, and they looked completely different and acted completely different and had a completely different.
Yeah, those Trills could be. When they first introduced the Trills in DS9, they looked completely different species. Plus, they could be housed in different species too.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They've already changed Trills once, so I don't really give a shit if in 900 years you can say, oh, they figured out a way for them to have a fucking something Trill hybrid that can carry a fucking symbiote. Like that is inconsequential. That's not what makes Star Trek good or bad. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's writing is a big part.
Yes, it's the writing. It's the fucking characters. It's like what we were talking about last week. They've lost the Star Trek essence and cadence of what Star Trek is and how people talk and how characters react and relate to each other and all this shit. That's the important shit. I could give a shit about fucking whether or not a Trill can fucking mate with, and have a hybrid fucking, I don't care. Like, whatever. They can explain that shit away or not explain it and it doesn't even fucking matter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit if this was a good show, nobody would have cared. Nobody would have cared. And you wouldn't even have to explain it. If this was a good Star Trek show that actually respected the legacy of Star Trek, you don't have to explain every fucking little thing. You don't have, you can just be like, yeah, we figured out how to fucking...
They don't want to respect anything. They'd rather have the Klingons wearing dresses and making out with his
exactly. And boyfriend. That's the problem with this fucking show. That's the problem with the show. Because it's fucking retarded. That's the problem with all fucking modern Trek. Is that stupid
well, we
shit.
kind of got the correct writing with Picard season 3.
Well, yeah, that's because of Terry
Matalas.
Matalas
wasn't involved.
Yeah, it's because Terry Matalas fucking took over.
And there was some pretty good writing with Lower Decks.
Oh, Lower Decks was fucking great.
Also, Kirkman not involved. Oh, and Kirkman got pissed over Star Trek Picard season 3. That's why he never would greenlight Legacy.
Well, I hear he's on his way out.
Oh, he is. He's on his way out. The Academy has failed spectacularly. It dropped off the top 10 watch on Paramount Plus. Within the second week, on the third episode, when they dropped the first 2 episodes, people watched it out of curiosity. It was like top 3 on Paramount. Then by episode 3 come out, it dropped off the top 10 list on Paramount itself, not on all streaming services, on Paramount itself. Reruns from sitcoms from the 80s was outperforming it.
But I do like the new captain.
The one that sits on the chair sideways and upside down and wears glasses for some reason.
Here's the thing. I like her as an actress. I'm blanking on her name right now. She's been in a lot of stuff that I liked. I've always liked her. I think she's a good actress, and I've always liked her. She's weird in this show. And I get what they're doing with her is making her intentionally weird. Like they're making her this, I forget what species she is, but she's a species that lives for hundreds of years, and she was a part of the Federation before the burn, and then she became part of Starfleet during the burn, and then left Starfleet, and then they talk her into coming back to run the Academy. And she's supposed to be a weird, quirky character, and if it was just her that was the odd man out, and everybody else on the show acted like you would expect characters to act in a traditional Star Trek show, it would work. You know what I mean? She would be the odd one out that's hundreds of years old, that fucking just acts different, that maybe speaks different, that's been around so long that her mannerisms and her characteristics and things like that stand out among the rest of the cast because everybody else is speaking and acting and what we've become accustomed to throughout 60 years of fucking Star Trek, and she's the odd one out. It would actually work. It'd be like, oh yeah, because she's She's old and she's weird and she's quirky, but she knows her shit, and that's why they want her to run the academy. That would actually be like cool. It'd be kind of like, you know, kind of like
It's
how
like good writing, but no.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like how on Deep Space Nine, Quark was not a character we were used to seeing as a main cast member on a show. He was so different from a Starfleet officer. You know what I mean? But he worked because he was just, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't speak or talk or act or fucking have the same morals or anything of what we had ever been used to on a Star Trek show before that for a main character. But he worked, right? But that's because everybody else was fucking normal, right?
Yeah.
That, and he gave us one of the best lines of Trek ever. When he had Garrick try the root beer, and he's like, "It's so vile, but if you drink enough of it, you start to like it, just like the Federation."
I don't know. She is definitely a weird character for a Star Trek show, and would that everybody else was like a good, prim and proper Federation cadet and all that shit, and not fucking a gay, black, lesbian, trans, Cardassian, or whatever the fuck they're all supposed to be. Like,
this is how stupid they are on the show too. The writers. This is 900 years past Cisco.
Yeah.
Why are the people in wheelchairs on the show?
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
And why are people wearing glasses when they fixed that during Kirk's era? Only reason Kirk wore glasses, he was allergic to the medicine that fixed your eyes.
Yeah, it's stupid. Now, again, like I said, if she was the only character that stood out and she had some fucking thing where she, you know, was attached to the past, so she still wanted to wear glasses because she refused to get the shit fixed because she's just a weird chick. Okay, cool. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? Make her the quirky one that stands out on the show. Make her the one that's been put in charge, and all the cadets, like, don't get her because they're all like what we're used to in that world, and it's her weirdness that somehow fucking helps the cadets or show. You know what I mean? Like, you can fucking put together a story around her, only her being a quirky character for that era of the future, right? And you can make that work. It does not, however, work when everything else on the show goes against everything we know about Star Trek as well. Then she's no longer a quirky character. She's just yet another example of how this show doesn't fucking make any sense as a Star Trek show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's the problem.
That hologram character.
Why
would you program a hologram that don't know anything, that has to go to the academy? It's also neurodivergent, fat, and weird.
So here's the thing. The character sucks. She's awful. Everything about her is awful. However, again, this is where it comes from. If you do it right, it works. The concept of a completely photonic race that's been living on a planet by themselves because they're afraid of organics, because they used to be slaves to organics. Finally, now that the Federation is rebuilding, deciding they're going to send one person to the academy to try and learn about organics and learn if it's safe to actually leave their planet. Cool concept, right? That's a Star Trek concept. If it's done right.
Yeah, if it's done right.
If it's not being done right, it's being done fucking awful.
Kirksman team doing stuff awful? What? Shocked, I tell you. Shocked.
Oh, and the new captain's a Lanthanite. So they have like centuries-long lifespans, apparently.
They're similar to like Guinan species, right? Or is that Guinan species?
No, she was Alteran.
Alteran, that's right. But yeah, I mean, you know, the idea of a species living for hundreds of years, nothing new about Star Trek, right? That falls in line with Star Trek. The idea of occasionally there being characters, Guinan was one of these, that either because of their age or whatever, they're different from everybody else on the show. There's nothing wrong with that. That can work with Star Trek. All these basic concepts individually, you can make it work in a Star Trek show and work well. But you have to actually give a shit and be trying to make a Star Trek show, not some woke piece of shit.
Which is what the modern Trek writers are doing. They're trying to shove all the DEI into it when Trek already was
extremely progressive. It was already extremely progressive and had been since the 1960s.
Well, with Dax and Dax's former lover, that's now also in a female.
Yeah,
that was like very controversial back then.
Mm-hmm.
Or the episode where
they were hot
of DS9.
That does help.
Blood Oath.
It helps.
Where she goes with 3 of the original series Klingons to.
But that's also too them respecting the old series of bringing those original actors back, and that was really
but
good.
They're like, oh, Curzon. They're like, and Dax is like, well, I'm Jadzia now, and everyone's like, oh, that's trans. I'm like, no, it's recognizing that different host, and they recognize the new host as just the next continuing version. It's not a trans thing, but okay, I'll give you that.
Again, you can go back throughout Star Trek's history and find things that were weird or quirky or out of the norm, right? But you place them in this firmly established world universe that you're telling the story. And this universe has, like we talked about last week, it has a cadence to it. You know what I mean? And when you lose that cadence, you lose Star Trek. If you can stay within the cadence of the storytelling, the language, the music, you know what I mean? The themes, you can throw in one-off characters or one-off stories. As long as you remember that you're on a specific path that echoes a certain way. And if you lose that, which modern Trek has, it no longer becomes, well, in this case, it no longer becomes Star Trek.
With the exemption of Lower Decks.
It's like that movie, Section 31, right? Awful fucking Star Trek movie. Now, was it a cool concept of like seeing a team of Section 31 characters fucking get sent on a mission and basically having, Mission Impossible in space? Yeah, it was a cool concept. And if you had kept the cadence of what Star Trek is, it would have been a cool Star Trek movie as well. But you didn't.
Actually, just even cadence of what 631 is supposed to be. Nobody's supposed to know they even exist.
Yeah. Well, and like I said,
they're sitting there wearing Federation badges and like they're sanctioned by the Federation. And
yeah. And if you had done it right, seeing a fucking team of Section 31 agents going on a fucking mission, again, a la Mission Impossible, because that's what the Impossible Mission Force was. They were a fucking group of people that only a handful of people high up in the government even fucking knew existed, right? Like if you had wanted to do a section, but you got to keep it grounded in what Star Trek is, and that movie did not even come fucking close to trying to ground it in what Star Trek is. It just tried to make a fucking space action spy movie, and it had nothing to do with fucking Star Trek. So again, you can make these things fucking work if you just put in a little bit of fucking effort, and they don't. And in fact, they go the opposite way. It's not that they don't put in the effort, it's that they put in the effort to go the opposite fucking way because they want to make fucking specific points and references and political statements and bullshit like that. Instead of just doing what Star Trek has always done, which is we're making a Star Trek show and okay, I want to throw something in about this particular hot button issue that fucking is relevant to today's society. So I'm going to figure out a way to make that work while keeping it still feel like Star Trek. And they don't fucking do that, and they've never done that. They don't know what subtlety is. They don't know what story writing is. They don't know what character design is. They have no fucking concept of these basic tenets of what you need to keep something consistent in a fucking universe that has been established for 60 fucking years.
Well, not to mention too, like, nobody that's on these shows now in Star Trek would have passed the old Federation's standards.
Oh, not at all.
You have to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
That's one of the things in TNG they talk about. Like, I know this is future time on rebuilding of Starfleet Academy, but back then they were talking about it's hard to get in the Starfleet. You got to have the right grades. You got to be physically fit. Into
the academy,
military school.
Like, you could be like O'Brien and just go through Starfleet Basic and be an enlisted guy.
Yeah, he was enlisted. He was different. But these
but
are
yeah, to be an officer,
they're very insubordinate too. They talk back to their superiors all the time, even like in the Discovery and the other show, the Pike.
Strange New Worlds.
There you go. Thank you.
But that one does have slightly better writing.
The singing and dancing, cleaning.
That is, I'm gonna tell you right now. As much as all the woke shit fucking is awful, and as much as I've actually, for the most part, at least, okay, let me say, in comparison to everything else outside of Lower Decks that modern Star Trek has been for the last 10 years, I've relatively enjoyed Strange New Worlds. However, that fucking musical episode was the biggest steaming pile of shit I have ever seen in my fucking life. It was fucking horrible. It was so not Star Trek. It was bad on any level for any fucking show, much less a fucking Star Trek show. It was fucking horrible.
That belonged in something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like where
yes,
character gets turned into a Muppet or singing and dancing.
Somewhere where that type of thing happening and that general feel and vibe of an episode works within the overall universe where you're telling the story. It does not fucking work at all in Star Trek.
No.
It was fucking awful. And I don't hate Strange New Worlds. It is, to me, other than Lower Decks, the most enjoyable Star Trek thing that's been out in the last.
Even if, like, where we're talking about, like, if good writing, though, a singing episode could work if they encountered a species that sings instead of a regular conversation, like the Tamalak Tanagra, the Arms Wide episode. They could have worked it in where it made more sense than just, this entity, wherever, I don't even know what the fuck it calls them to do it. It just, they were choreographed and like dancing and singing, and it just looks stupid.
Yeah, I watched it once, and I never ever will watch it again. So I don't really remember.
I think it was some sort of like.
Was it a
creature
from something, or I can't remember what the fuck it was.
That, or there was like some cosmic organism in the nebula that they were harvesting to turn into deuterium. I don't remember what it was. Yeah.
And honestly, I don't care what it was. It was fucking awful. But whatever. I don't know. Let's get off Star Trek for a second, because we spent way too long talking about modern shitty Trek. I'm just still really pissed that they put some actual legitimately good stuff that I wanted to see about Cisco in a fucking god-awful show. So let's talk quickly, because I think I'm the only one that's watched it. Let's talk quickly about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. So this is the new Game of Thrones show that has largely gone under the radar. For a Game of Thrones show, I've heard relatively few people talking about this show. Okay. Which seems weird to me, but yeah, it was very minimally advertised. It hasn't been talked about much. It's starting to get talked about more because people are, now that we're on like episode 4, people are starting to go back and watch it. Because more people are starting to talk about it. So this is from the book that George R.R. Martin wrote of the same name, I believe, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And this first season covers, I believe, just like the first, I don't know, maybe 20-25% of the book, which is where this knight, Sir Duncan, or Dunk as he's called, meets his squire named Egg. Now, I'm gonna not spoil anything, but I think if you do any level of research into this, you'll get spoiled about who these characters are. But anyway, this is a book by George R.R. Martin. It takes place about 80 years before Game of Thrones and about 100 years after the House of the Dragon, right? So it's in between those two time frames. And it's a very it's the book, I think, takes place like when the two main characters, which is Egg and Dunk, meet. And the book, I think, ends, if I remember correctly, because I haven't read the book, but I'm going by what I'm seeing on YouTube and stuff. The book ends when both of them die, which is years and years and years later, right? So it's mostly about the two of them. It's about this kid who's probably he's like, I think in the books he's supposed to be 9, but he's being portrayed by a kid who's probably like 12. And in the books, I think Dunk is supposed to be maybe 18, but he's being portrayed by a guy who's in his mid-20s. So they don't really say how old the characters are supposed to be, but it's a kid and a dude in his let's say early 20s, right? Who just became a knight because he was the squire of a hedge knight who died, and now he's kind of, he trained him his entire life. He found him, as a kid and raised him, and so now he wants to be a knight. And the whole premise of this first season is he's going to try and fight in a competition with knights from other houses to try and earn his reputation so that he can be a hedge knight like the knight that raised him. And a hedge knight basically is just a knight that doesn't have a house, but they're respected for the most part. They fight for many different houses. Sometimes they fight for money, but they're basically just they're like a Ronin. They're the Game of Thrones equivalent of a Ronin, a samurai with no master. Similar. There's some differences, obviously, but so this is just this story of Dunk meeting Egg, who becomes his squire. This first season is all about this tournament where he's trying to earn some respect and actually become a real knight, because he's not really a real knight yet. And can I just say, 4 episodes in, there's only 6 episodes this whole season. And this is the best shit from Game of Thrones I've seen in years. Like, this is the best shit I've seen from Game of Thrones since Battle of the Bastards. And I say that not because it's some action-heavy fucking badass fucking crazy dragon fights and fucking White Walker. Like, this story is just about 2 people who become friends. Like, I can't explain it. Like, this show is so fucking good, and the characters are so good. Like, Egg is great, Dunk is great, and just seeing these 2 dudes who are just like, one dude and one kid, like, just trying to fucking make something of themselves is so well done. Like, it makes me wonder, like, you can take a show that essentially is really, there's no big stakes here. You know what I mean? It gets into it because I don't want to spoil some stuff that happens. So there are some big stakes here. But, like, on its premise, it's just a dude who wants to become a knight like the knight that raised him, right? So he wants to go fight in a tournament to get some respect. Like, there's nothing big. There's no war going on. There's no fucking dragons, no White Walkers, no big battles, no nothing. And it is so fucking well done. Just the character interactions and the 2 people that they got to play Dunk and Egg do such a fucking phenomenal job. You know what it reminds me of? You remember there was only like 2 or 3 good episodes in that last season of Game of Thrones. And one of them was the episode right before the big White Walker fight. And it was just an episode where finally, after 7.5 seasons, fucking everybody is in the same place at the same time. They're all at Winterfell waiting for the White Walkers to show up. And it's just an entire episode of just people fucking talking. Like, nothing big happens for the whole episode. It's just a lot of really good character interaction. It's one of my favorite episodes of Game of Thrones, even though it did happen in that last shitty season. But it's just like really good characters having really good interactions, and it's very entertaining and feels very genuine. Like, that's what this show is. And I think people are missing out on it, man. I seriously do, because I don't think a lot of people are watching this show. And it's fucking fantastic. Like, I love it. I give it 2 thumbs up and highly recommend.
You had House of the Dragon. Well, I've yet. You're talking about right now. I've not seen any advertisement for it.
That's what
it could be too the fact what's going on with HBO right now with the whole everything's in flux. Like
with Warner Brothers and all that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I think people are fucking missing out because I've watched. I mean, and look, I like everything Game of Thrones. Even when it gets bad, I still get a level of enjoyment out of it, right? Like, so even though there's a lot I can talk shit about that last season of Game of Thrones, overall I'm like, yeah, it's still Game of Thrones, whatever. I still enjoy it. It's not as good as previous seasons or whatever. And like the first season of House of the Dragon, fucking loved it. Second season, it was kind of just one long 10 episode setup for something, and then it ended on a cliffhanger, which was kind of disappointing, but I still liked it, right? This is just like because they're dealing with a story that's so small and it's just 100% character driven. There's no major conflicts or anything like that. Like, it's just so purely enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I highly recommend it because exactly like you said, I've hardly seen any advertisement of this. You know what I mean? Hardly anybody has heard about it. Like, again,
you're the first. I didn't even know about it until you just start talking about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know people are hardcore Game of Thrones fans who did not know this show existed. So I just recommend, like, everybody go check. Even if you're like somebody that's like, oh, Game of Thrones last season sucked. Well, go watch this because it's way fucking better. Just, I mean, like I said, just don't expect it to be some big fucking, this ain't about a war, dragons, or any of that crazy shit. It's just a character fucking drama. And it's got heart, it's got humor, it's fun, the characters are great. It's only going to be 6 episodes, and then I guess they'll see how it goes. And again, because it comes from a book, and if this is just like the first 20% of the book, because the book covers the entire lifespan of from the minute these two characters meet to when they both die, over the course of years, you could keep this series going. You could keep doing more seasons of it. But, yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's well worth watching. And they're short episodes. This is not an hour-long show. They're like 30-minute episodes. So you can burn through it real fucking quick. So it's not like you're investing a lot of time into it. So 4 episodes are out now. So we got 2 more episodes left. Since it is HBO, they do it week to week, which pisses somebody off. So I don't know, wait a couple weeks and then binge watch the whole thing. Total, you've only got like a 3-hour investment. You know what I mean? To watch the whole season. And it's really fucking good. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I highly recommend this show to anybody who liked any aspect of Game of Thrones, or if you just like fantasy stuff in general, or medieval stuff, because again, there's not really any fantasy stuff in it. It's just very, medieval. Or if you just like a character story, you know what I mean? Sometimes the character stories, the simplest little stories about just fucking people talking, can sometimes be the most entertaining shit if it's done right. And I will say this show is definitely done right. So throwing that out there. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's watched this yet because nobody's fucking heard of it. But everybody should go check it out. I think you'll like it. All right. Let's talk about Fallout. Jared, you said you actually watched it.
I watched the entire season. I've watched season 1 and 2.
Nice. Okay, now let me ask.
I think I like. Well, you can't really watch 2 without the build up of season 1, but I think I like 2 better.
Yeah, I think 2. Well, season 1 was a lot of setup.
Yeah, season 1 dragged a little bit because it's set up.
Yeah, but season 2 definitely like got into the meat of what's going on in this world a lot more. Now, somebody in the chat earlier, before you guys got here, was saying that they didn't like some of the stuff that the show was doing because it wasn't honoring the games. I've never played the game.
What time did you start?
I started like 20 minutes before 7.
Okay.
Yeah, which freaked me out, so I ran to join the chat, and I was sitting there for that whole 20 minutes.
Sorry, okay? I was not paying attention because I didn't expect anybody to show up till 7 o'clock. Okay? And I didn't talk about Fallout, but I wanted to get you guys on here to see, because I've never played Fallout. I love the show. I think the show's great, and I think you're right. Season 2 is considerably better. I think the first season's good. Season 2 is even way better than that. But, like, have either of y'all okay, Firefighter, I know you've played Fallout. Jared, have you played Fallout?
I have not played Fallout.
Okay.
What gives it away, Matt? What gives it away?
Well, because we've talked about it before. I know that. But, no, I'm just, well, and that and your fucking icon. But, so I love the show, but I've never played Fallout. So I'm just wondering if there are things in this show that, like, oh, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. And if there are things like that, is the show at least doing a good enough job that it's okay that they change stuff because it works for the show?
More or less, because if I remember how they explained it, is it takes like 30 years or so after New Vegas, but 10 years before Fallout 4 in the official timeline.
Okay.
And they said that, with this show, because it's taking place around New Vegas, we are not going to reveal what was the true canon ending to that game. So that's what pisses off a lot of people.
But like so I know, I mean, like the characters, obviously, there are specific characters in here, especially the 3, I guess, main characters are specific people that are not from the game, right? They're newly created for the show. Mm-hmm. Maximus, what's-her-face, and the Ghoul, right? But do they at least like fit in with like their characters you could see in the game if they were from the game?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Like the Ghoul, you encounter all kinds of ghouls throughout all the games. Some are feral, some are, hey, I'm running the store. And Lucy is the typical, I've done nothing but lived in a vault all my life. I'm so oh crap, I gotta go and leave the vault.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just wondering because it was mentioned earlier on when I first fucking hopped online that there was some stuff that people were like, oh, that's not how it's supposed to be in the game. But I was just wondering because I think the show is fantastic. And I don't know if it was originally planned this way or if they just saw the response from the first season and maybe made some changes. I don't know. But clearly in the second season, the main character is the Ghoul. It is, he's clearly the main character. He has more screen time than Lucy does or Maximus. Clearly, all the flashbacks are for him. And like I said, I don't know if that was always intended because clearly if you watch the first season and then saw all the fan reaction after the first season, he was the fan favorite character from the first season.
With saying that, I think that's part of why I like the second season better because he is the most interesting character.
Yeah, and he's got a lot more screen time in the second season, and it's clearly more his story
revolves around him more because it can work that way because he's 200 years old.
Yeah, and he was directly, involved and knew what was going on that started all this. So again, that's why I don't know if I was like maybe that was the intention the whole time because that would have to plan that out after season 1 would have been crazy. So I feel like 90% sure it was always intended for him to essentially be kind of the main character. But it's just if you watch the first season, he wasn't the main character in the first season. He was a side character.
Yeah.
Even though he was the most interesting character.
He was what most people look forward to, his episodes that dealt with him more.
Yeah. And season 2 is 90% him and his backstory and his episodes and his origins and being involved in with Vault Tech and all that stuff and everything that happened in the past. So, which was a big reason why the second season is better. That's not to knock the other characters. Like in the first season, I didn't like Maximus at all.
No, same.
But he's much more likable in season 2. He's not like my favorite character or anything, but he's much more likable now.
His experience with Lucy, and plus him remembering his time with the NCR, really helped develop his character, make him a nicer person.
Yeah.
Well, his childhood with the NCR.
Yeah. When Lucy's pretty much the same character in season 2 that she was in season 1. I mean, she's gotten a little bit more used to the world outside of the vault, but essentially, she really hasn't.
I think her brother's made more development than she has.
Oh yeah. I want to see more of her brother. We didn't really get much of him in the first season, and honestly, we didn't get much of him in the second season either. But the shit he went through in season 2 was much more interesting.
I think he's setting his subplot is setting up to the third season.
That would be cool. I hope so.
Plus the forced evolution, all this stuff, like with the vaults and
with that virus whatever they were gonna do with it. Now, I liked it a lot. Season 1 was good. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Thought it was great. But season 2 just kicked it up a lot. And
now the only thing that still bugs me, the ghoul's looking for his wife and daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But that scene from season 1 where he's at that birthday party with his daughter,
mm-hmm.
the nuclear bombs went off.
Yeah. I keep wondering about that too. I was asking my wife about that. I was like, did we miss something? Because I know at the end, like the last time we see the last time we see him, right?
We get into it, I think the daughter's dead. I think his ghoul brain doesn't remember her dying.
Maybe. Well, because so the last time we see him before the bombs go off, right? The last flashback we get is when he gives that power source or whatever it is over to the president. And it's when him and his wife are on their way back home. They're about to leave Vegas. He gives that over, and then presumably they go home after that. So my guess is the bomb goes off and that happens, but then we've got to figure out, okay, I mean, clearly he got away. He didn't get fucking wiped out. But what happened to his daughter? Did he get his daughter back to his wife in time? Or like you're saying, did she die and he just doesn't fucking remember that she died?
The radiation is what turned him into a ghoul, so it just killed.
I'm just wondering if it's like something. I'm just wondering, because I mean, it could just be that, like, I don't know, something happened and he was able to get his daughter somewhere where his wife was able to get her, but he couldn't get. I don't know. Or again, like you're saying, maybe she did die and he just doesn't fucking remember. So
he's already got issues with being a ghoul, brain rot. That's what the drugs he takes, and plus two with everything else going on. He just in the trauma of it, maybe he just don't remember on purpose, and it gives him a purpose to keep going.
Yeah.
If he didn't have the hope that they're out there somewhere, he
maybe
would let go.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I'm sure. I mean, he's on his way to Colorado now to try and find his wife. So I'm sure once he finds his wife, we'll get answers about his daughter. But it's a good show, man. Like it's one of the best shows I think that's currently, on television right now. For me, it's up there with like For All Mankind and a handful of others. What were you gonna say there?
Well, I was reading the chat and someone was complaining about the Brotherhood. You got to remember the Brotherhood has many different, like, fragmented chapters.
Yep.
So what we're used to seeing in the games are all the chapters that were, oh, we must be the best, we got to do it by the book. What we're seeing in the show is these, like, I want to say, like, the redheaded stepchildren chapters to the Brotherhood.
And what's
like,
the big one from the East Coast or something like that? That they were
East Coast Brotherhood is led by the, I want to say, great-grandson of the original founder of the Brotherhood.
And so that's the one where Khalil Nanjiani's character came from there, right?
Yeah.
He's from, and they're like the biggest chapter. They're like the ones that could fucking wipe out all the rest of them.
Yeah, they're the main chapter because they originally start off, Elder Maxon start off with the Lost Hills chapter in the NCR, but because the issues between the main chapter of the Brotherhood and the NCR constantly fighting each other, they're like, hey, take Squire Maxon, send him to DC with the DC chapter, which was at that time led by Elder Lyons, and they were like, okay, we're a little looser with the Codex. We're going to help the people, but while safeguarding technology. And you'd see that, like, on the East Coast, things are done a little bit differently than on the West Coast, where West Coast, they're still heavily, like, split into all the little chapters, and the little chapters go, well, we're going to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Well,
We haven't talked to the main elder.
I will say one thing I find a little different from season 1, season 2 with the Maximus' Brotherhood. I know part of it's too him looking at the Brotherhood with, like, relevance, like what they actually thought they were. Plus, too, a lot of their knights got killed by the ghoul in season 1. The ones that were in the power armor when they found Area 51 are just absolute morons.
Well, yeah, because they're probably just grabbing whoever, whereas in the games we see they're very selective about who they let join. They're like, okay, you have to have some sort of level of competency and intelligence, whereas with the chapters we see in the show, they're like, you can follow orders, you could shoot, yeah, we're gonna take you.
Which I understand that too, but the difference to the mentality from season 1 to season 2, it's got to be where they just lost a bunch of them. And then, like you're saying, they had to replace them after the ghoul killed half the ranks. It's like, I love that scene in the final episode, like, where you have a little weak spot on the Mark 1s. I wonder if they fixed it on these.
Huh? And they all look down.
Yeah.
And that's what I gotta say about this second season is with the ghoul, before the bombs fell, they're showing his time in the Great War with China.
Yeah.
He fought at the Battle of Anchorage. That ties into Fallout 3. And when they brought out the Death Claws, I felt like my sophomore year high school again when I first saw them, and I'm like, what's that?
So
no.
Death Claws are something that they clearly, because it shows him, when he was still in the Marines fighting them. So clearly that's something from before the bombs dropped. They're not mutants. They're something that was genetically created. Is that right? They were created by the earliest,
first group of the Enclave as a bioengineered super weapon.
Yeah. So yeah, because they were around before everything went to shit and all the bombs dropped. So
and they according to the lore, they have some of them have the intelligence equal to like a 7 or 8 year old human. And I know in Fallout 2, you actually encounter a highly intelligent Deathclaw who tries to pass as human to get into settlements. And if you would have stuck with playing Fallout 3 and then got into New Vegas and all that, New Vegas really cemented how dangerous Deathclaw can be. Because if you don't have the proper armor or weapons, they would just show up and one-hit you. They're that scary. You're like, I'm gonna avoid this area. Because
cool, man. I don't know nothing about the games or the death claws or any of that shit, but I will say they fucking look terrifying. And the fact that, I mean, that whole scene where he was in the NCR power armor and fucking like fighting them and was still like, yeah, he was taking them out, you know, until he started running out of fucking ammo and shit. And they start, you know what I mean? Like, it was cool, man. It was cool watching him fight them. And then, yeah, you think, oh, these are just fucking, yeah, they're big, but they're just animals. He's fucking got a suit of armor. He should be able to fucking clear them all the fuck out. And he gets the first few, and everything's looking pretty good. And then shit starts going wrong, and you realize just how badass those fucking things are.
Oh, yeah, just how badly you're like, oh no. But I got this to say, that NCR power armor they gave him, I love it.
Dude, it looked way more badass than the other armor he had.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And had more weapons than the other armor, too.
Oh, yeah. And so, let me get, the NCR essentially are kind of the good guys, right?
You could...
For lack of a better term, I mean, in this world, they're the closest to good guys we have.
As close as you can get, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of, I mean, the way they were setting them up in the first season and all that, and then the way they were kind of shown off in this season, that's kind of the vibe I got. Because there's a lot of fucking factions all over the place that do different things, but the NCR seems to, at least so far, to what we've been introduced to, seem to be the closest to good guys. Not that they are good guys necessarily, but they're the closest that we've seen so far.
What I learned from season 2, though, a 50 cal does better than a power armor.
Yes, it does.
Well,
I love
what
watching
they were
him
using
shoot that rifle between his toes because he lost his fucking arm. That was fun. But anyway.
Well, if I'm right, that was the anti-material rifle, which is a 50, but you gotta get lucky if you play New Vegas and you're using the 50 with standard rounds. You're gonna waste most of your ammo. You have to use 50 cal explosive ammo in that game to take out a Deathclaw.
Well, Kentucky Biscuit says incinerators are like a bad thing to deal with.
Okay, well, let's go find Kentucky Ballistics and see if he could get a 1-to-1 scale Deathclaw made up and see what exactly will take it out, okay?
Kentucky Ballistics had one of his 50 cal rifles blow up because of incinerators.
Oh, yeah, he's the one that blew up the fucking rifle and fucked up his hand and shit.
He had the only reason in life he put a thumb in his neck.
Mm-hmm.
I was just making the joke about like incendiary explosive rounds.
Well, what caused his gun to blow up was a counterfeit slap round.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's about it for Geek Chat today. We are about to go.
It isn't so.
I know, but about to go do another chat on the other channel. Talking about, I don't know what. Yeah, another channel.
What?
Well, actually, I'm broadcasting to both channels right now. So we're gonna go do a more serious, because we're always so serious on the other channel. Well, until the dick jokes start happening. But
so serious.
But we're gonna go do another chat on the other channel for a little bit, talk, have some fun, shoot the shit for, I don't know, an hour, maybe 2. We'll see till I get fucking bored. and go do that. But that's going to end it for today. Like I said, like I was telling everybody, since I've got like the next 3 weekends off, we'll be doing Geek and more serious chats every Saturday night because I'm off every weekend, which is nice. But so anyway, that is going to wrap up this Geek Chat for tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I had fun. Hope you did. And if you feel so inclined, come hop on over to the other channel and we'll do whatever the fuck we end up doing there. I don't know. I don't have any topics laid out. We're just going to talk about cool shit and shit that sucks. And
well, we could talk about the new products from SHOT Show.
We could. I haven't talked about that yet. We'll do that. So anyway, we're going to get out of here for now. We'll see you guys for the next Geek Chat next week. And then
some of you guys, you're just going to get a brief intermission.
What?
You're just some of the guys are just going to get a brief intermission since you're
That's true. I'm just fucking switching from some of y'all are just going to come pop right up over on the same channel. So, all right, guys, we will see you later. Take it easy, have fun, enjoy your shit, and we're gonna get the fuck out of here. Later.